All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Thursday, May 13th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Should be good to go across the trading room. Great to see Grant, Ken, Norman, Michael, Tim, Kathleen, all of our students live inside Cyber Group, and for all of us on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. Welcome on back. So I got to talk about Bitcoin to begin. I feel I have to, just for several reasons, but I got to start with AMC first. It's on the screen here, and it's like history repeating itself all over again. From late January, we saw the Reddit stocks explode. GameStop, AMC, you name them, Express, Bed Bath Beyond, all of them that we traded back then. Well, we ended up seeing AMC fairly active in pre-market this morning. I didn't really see the news. I don't think I saw any news, and if I did, I just forgot. But ended up seeing the stock flatten out early in pre-market. It didn't make our morning list, rightfully so, just because there wasn't much of a trend. Now, just because it didn't make the morning list doesn't mean that we're not going to trade it. I mean, hey, if this pops up on our radar, pops up on our scanners or Benzinga Pro, why not call it out? It's a stock that we're very familiar with and a stock that a lot of us inside our trading room have done well on in the past. Well, myself, this stock was naturally just on my side list for that reason. So as soon as the market opened up, I was watching this. I was making the call out off 11. It was holding resistance in the pre-market off that level. Once it broke 11, it wasn't the first attempt. It kind of looks like it was. You can see. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter given how far this exploded after. But you could see off the initial break from 11 with the amount of buying that we had coming in. It wasn't perfect, but on the next little slip under and over, that's what led to this, enormous move that we caught, going into today. Ended up flattening out going into like noontime, 11:30 Eastern. And, at that point, I thought it was going to dump back down. Honestly, I thought that was it. There was a bunch of false breaks off of the $12 resistance. We ended up catching this early, but going into the mid to late morning, I took my eyes off it. I thought that was pretty much going to be it. I thought it would just kind of dump off and flatten out. Ray asking inside Cyber Group here, really good question. Is AMC shortable for anyone? So that is like almost the perfect segue to this. If AMC was shortable for me here, if it was easy to borrow rather, then I would have been a lot more interested in trying to short it, anticipating a potential reversal come that 11 o'clock, 11:30 time. I mean, maybe if you're using a different broker, it's easy to borrow. Maybe you can get the shares if you just request them. But nonetheless, though, I wasn't really following that as much. But I was actually watching this off the break later on. I'm so disappointed in this. So, I told you folks, I took Tuesday off. I was sick. And today, honestly, I'm not really feeling that great, like really weird stomach. So I ended up leaving the office back to my home office around the afternoon. I jumped into AMC here off this break off at 12. I thought this was the move that we would see it make its run. I avoided all these false breaks. And right here, I jump in. It came back down, and I got out scratched, legitimately break even at 12:02. I said, all right, you know what? I'm not really feeling that great. This didn't make the move. All right, I'll just go home. That's it. So I ended up missing this whole run up because once I got back home, it was already over 1250. And at that point, I thought I was chasing, so I didn't expect this to, go up to damn near 1450. Broke over 14, came back down really sharp. So going into the afternoon, for as much as it ran, I feel like this run is done. But, just look at the daily chart. You can see how far these stocks have moved across late January. So, we were certainly hopeful to see a second type of squeeze up at some point in time. And, God bless today's that day. We'll check in with GameStop, Express, all these other Reddit stocks that we traded just over the last few months. Unless I take a sip of water there. GameStop ended up making a nice pop. This thing's so expensive and has such a big spread. I'm not interested in day trading this. Express, though, on the flip side, obviously much cheaper, but look at the order book. Penny spread, great liquidity on both sides of the field there across the bid and the ask, a 50,000 share order that you could actually see in red at 350. So, for right now, AMC and Express easily just going to put on our main list to begin. In hopes that they move up higher. And if they don't, at least, if you can get the shares to short, should we see a lot of profit taking, perhaps, a lower high, lower low, that could be the short opportunity, if it craps out the other way. All right, so Express and AMC, two great stocks to start with. Now, again, let me just jump right to Bitcoin, right to Mara, Riot, Cannon. So I know that Fausto brought this up, in the morning meeting. He gave his analysis on it. So for anyone that was late to that or ended up missing completely out on the news that happened over the last 24 hours, our guy Elon ended up coming out with news that basically Tesla is stopping payment for their cars via Bitcoin due to concerns about the environmental safety, just based on crypto mining. I'm not the biggest, most knowledgeable person in that field, so I'm not going to really provide too much on that as much, but it's to say, I feel like that generates a lot of, quote unquote FUD. What FUD means, folks, is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So that leads to big profit taking. That leads to a big drop off in Bitcoin. And with that, in the after hours, we saw, two specific, stocks, not just Bitcoin, but Bitcoin mining related companies, the two biggest that are publicly traded in the United States between Riot and Mara. We ended up seeing them crash overnight, ended up making a bit of a squeeze after the market opened, rounded up off 2050 and bounced back up here. But damn, I really did not expect this to make the type of drop that it ended up, making thereafter. I thought it would, perhaps if it made the lower high, maybe squeeze in a range or eventually break lower going into 3 o'clock. But to see this completely reverse and drop another like 2.5 points lower here is pretty astonishing. So that also is based on Bitcoin dropping off further. There was another drop today on Bitcoin. And with that, let me just get to my Bitcoin chart. I'll come back to Riot and Mara, those stocks here in just a moment. All right, so let's jump to a 15-minute chart first. We'll go to an hourly, and then from there, my 6-hour. Those are really the three I work off of. So you could see, at least on a 15-minute scale, we ended up seeing practically overnight. This is yesterday's big drop-off, ended up crashing, practically over 10,000 points. So that's what led to the overnight drop on Mara, Riot, Cannon, all of these pretty much. But ended up making the squeeze back up after, and more so here, right? This is what I'm more so alluding to. Going into 1 o'clock, 12:30 Eastern time earlier today, we saw Bitcoin continue to stumble off, approach, practically, not to say, at the lows here, but getting closer to where it had bottomed out at just yesterday afternoon. So I want to jump to the hourly here because this will kind of forecast what's ahead on Bitcoin altogether. We ended up seeing this crash back down practically towards support that we had back maybe a month ago. We ended up seeing this right around 48,000 back, 3 to 4 weeks ago. But with this, though, should we happen to see continuation on the way down, this is well below the 500 EMA. And we talked about this just maybe just probably back here. The last time this ended up crashing, it ended up crashing below the red 500 EMA line that I have here. And with this last drop, it's going one of two ways, right? Either a very sharp squeeze back up, or it's going to be a long time to where we see this stumble off lower and then eventually begin to make its course back up. So I feel like at this point, I'm preparing myself to see Bitcoin drop down as low as like right around 41,000. I'm preparing myself for that. If it doesn't do that, then God bless, right? So, I'm very bullish long term. I feel like by November time, my prediction is that we could see Bitcoin easily over 100,000 still, but we'll see what comes. But nonetheless, I mean, there might be a bit more of a drop off before that eventual squeeze. I haven't added any new money into my Bitcoin since roughly, well, it was last dip here. I had a really good entry at 43,600 right here. Is squeezed up. Now, think about it this way, though, folks. Fausto brought this up briefly in the morning meeting, but on top, it's to say, well, if there are concerns about the environmental safety regarding Bitcoin mining, then maybe you look into cryptocurrencies that require low energy per transaction. So you do a little research, and there's a few out there that some websites list. But if you're looking for more of a larger cap crypto that is more low energy, I told you folks this for a little while. I've been super bullish on Cardano since 12, 13 cents. My first entry on this was actually back from July at 7 cents, but I've been accumulating since. This has been the only thing that's been moving up over the last 24 hours. This thing's breaking all-time highs, ended up almost hitting $2. So it's not to say that they're all dropping off, but with the news that came out, Elon Musk being a big player in the crypto game, you got some people following him. You're going to expect a bit of a drop, and if the markets fall off entirely, the Dow and the S&P, obviously that'll factor in with overall Bitcoin and likely the equities that follow it, like Mara and Riot and Cannon all the way down below 9 at this point. Geez, I haven't watched this, at least from the market open today. Again, I just came back to my home office just now. So, hey, this is the only one that seems to be shortable, I think. Oh, no, I lied. Mara shortable still, too. This one still seems pretty volatile. I don't mind slipping Mara on our main watch list. I guess they're all shortable, right? Here it is as well. But for right now, at least, I'll put Cannon, I'll put Mara, both of them at least, on the main list. No problem at all, Ray, on the commentary. And then Dean says here live inside our trading room regarding crypto mining. And I'm not going to get as much into this because I got to scan. I got to go from top to bottom here just coming up. But Dean, I want to point out his comment. Dean wrote, crypto mining is likely responsible for 10 to 20 MT. That's the unit of CO2 per year, or between 0.03 and 0.06%. That seems really low, of global energy-related CO2 emissions, according to the International Energy Agency. Now, I'm going to copy and paste that for all of us on social media because, hey, that was a little bit lengthy. But that was actually a pretty interesting comment from Dean, so it seems like it's relatively low CO2 emission in the grand scheme of things. I don't know. I'm not really too knowledgeable in the sector, but one of our members live inside Cybergroup, Dean, just wrote that there. That's pretty interesting, at least to see. All right, so at least for right now, these seem to be relatively close to the lows of the day. At least Cannon is. If they end up breaking lower, that could lead to potential continuation. What we'll do, though, folks, is go from top to bottom here, see what else we got. Just see what else we have. Wow, this MOXC stock ended up making a new a new high just before. Pardon me there. Ended up breaking out over 10. I'm assuming a lot of the volume filled off the spike was right off of 10. That was at 237 about 4 minutes ago. This might get halted off another pop here. You could see 10, a lot of buying coming in off of 10, maybe even 990. Not 990. 10, and then 1020 even. 12,000 share print to 1,000. So they add up, but I would say 10's your major level here on a shake, on a drop back down to test support. But for right now, the way this is trending, easily enough, I'll just put this on our main watch list here. All right, so AMC probably shouldn't have even clicked back to it because it might even lock up my screen. It's trading like so much volume. This stock is, on our list, rightfully so, but just be careful if you have a lot of platforms running or a lot of programs running on your computer, even platforms or templates from your broker, then it could freeze up your screen if you're trading like too many high volume stocks at a time. Express, same thing. This one trading much less volume across the day compared to AMC, so I wouldn't expect this to freeze you up as much, but definitely on our list. VTNR, how about this? This one's finally starting to wake up a bit, isn't it? Ended up dumping off completely going into the market open, so I wasn't watching this right out the gate. Ended up tanking thereafter. But hey, going into like 1 o'clock Eastern, ended up making a nice spike back up. Actually, before I ended up leaving to get back to my home office, this was, I think, like one of my last call outs. I was like saying, squeezing back up a bit. It's right back up to that last peak off 165. So you know what? It's cheap. Good spreads. I wouldn't expect this to make some like crazy nasty shake to, have us lose a lot of money. So it's low risk in that regard. I don't mind putting this on our list either, the VTNR now. All right, let's see what else we got here. I got to refill up on water here too. I don't know. I'm just feeling dehydrated, just still out of it. So I'm going to finish up this meeting relatively quick, but we're going to see what else we got. LLIT, this was also from pre-market. It was on the gainers list, but ended up diving off right away. And I guess for right now, a lot of volume getting filled on this trade. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. My time in sales. I don't know if this reset. So just caught that right now. There we go. All right, so yeah, this one's, I guess, getting a little squeak up, but I'm not like too interested just yet. Order book 2 blank. Fossil trade up and down across the day. They ended up reporting earnings, so I had my eye on them at least early on today, but not a whole lot really to write home about. Ken's ARRY stock. I'll give Ken possession of this trade. He ended up killing it yesterday on the short, ended up squeezing it up today, ended up squeezing back up here right now. Remains tradable, remains very tradable. I'll put this on the side for right now. Maybe this will be on our list at the end. And again, if I don't put this on the main special list at the end of it all, if you're a Ken out there and did really well on this trade between today and yesterday, I would guarantee that you're going to follow this stock, coming up. So, if you did well on it, maybe follow it, but otherwise, we'll see what else we got first. And as I take a look across the gainer side, just kind of skimming through, not really much that stands out as far as a familiar name. IGT. Ended up making a little push early on in the morning, squeezed up going into the afternoon. Near the highs, good spread, good liquidity. I'll keep this on the side list too. I'll come back to this and the ARRY at the end. Doesn't look too bad. All right, let's see what we have over on the loser side here next. The ZVO is shortable. It's down 40%. It's like pretty cheap. It's almost like too close to the ground floor, I'd say. But, it's at the lows. I'll put it on the list almost in hopes more of a dead cat bounce than a continued move down, because I'm not really a fan of shorting stocks that are like this cheap. 5 and below is not a big deal, but the closer you get to the ground floor, it's just like not worth it as much. And if there's a squeeze back up, it's like, man, that gets really risky. So maybe see what happens off at 2 for a potential dead cat bounce on the ZVO. YCBD, same thing. This one's like really flat, ended up spiking up and back down. I'd say this is more poised to break down lower at this point now after this spike down. Yep, right as I say that. Right as I say that, this thing's dropping. There we go. All right. Let's see what else we got. I don't need to put this on our list, really. Not really like a necessity. EDU, this stock has taken a big hit over the last month and a half, few months, really. Still shortable, ended up taking a dive today. Steady move down, really. Ended up squeezing up just about 40, 50 cents. Good spread, still seems really tradable. I mean, kind of in the same line as ARRY, but I'll put this on our main list here. This one seems to be moving pretty well, shortable on the way down. All right, so I think that's just about it. I don't have my SPY chart up here. Let me just put that up for the meantime. All right, so S&P ETF SPY is pushing back up towards the high. I guess that explains, a couple of the moves that we've been seeing on the gainers in there. Let me know if there's anything else up, down more than 5% that you would want me to look at. From RJF on YouTube, eyes, do you think you could bounce? Looking bleak, I gotta say. One of our traders ended up catching this on about 20 or 25 cents earlier today off of 6. He showed me the trade in a coaching session earlier today. Ended up taking a nice profit, but this is what happens where you can't keep expecting a support level to hold, or where you can't expect a level to hold in general. This ended up slicing right back below 6, and that was a wrap after. So, maybe at some point tomorrow, maybe next week, if I'm wrong, maybe today. But it doesn't look like it right now, though. I wouldn't really put a main focus on this stock for the next hour. From our guy Mitch on YouTube, Mitch Connor is asking, why CBD going anywhere off at 250? We were just looking at this about a couple minutes ago there, Mitch. Ended up making a spike down. Could be a good short, but again, a little close to the ground floor, so not really a necessity to put this on our main list. Ken from the trading room just chatted PLTR a bit earlier. That was about 5 or 6 minutes ago. Gray sideless stock. I mean, again, same line of thinking as the EDU, same line of thinking as the ARRY trade, I'd say. You know what? I don't mind it. PLTR, I'll slip on the main list for right now. We're not really at a cap just yet. Got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 stocks on the main list so far, and then maybe we'll jump back to the ARRY and IGT, like I said. I like the IGT more because it's closer to the highs. So I'll add this to the list. Ken, don't be upset by that. I know that you're likely going to trade the ARRY trade, probably going into the close. But otherwise, though, folks, hey, I like the list that we have. If there's anything else, again, just let me know. I'm going to take one last look on Benzinga Pro before we wrap up. It's my Jeopardy theme music. I don't see much on the upside here, at least, that we ended up missing. I think that we got them all. All right, I think that's just about it, folks. So for all of us on social media, keep in mind we've been making this announcement for a long time now, it feels, but I was out sick on Tuesday, so we were supposed to do our big special workshop Traders Talk, a simulcast live inside our trading room. That will be coming up next Tuesday on May 18th. I look forward to it. I assume that I will not be sick coming up next Tuesday, so we should be good to go. All right, so aside from that, make sure that you like, subscribe, notify right on our YouTube channel, that being youtube.com/cybertradingu. And for all of us live inside the Cyber Group room right now, I'll be back on the mic going into 3:30, taking you into the close. Talk to you then.